Get off the nail. Take action when you're facing debt. Hi, remember that in our previous videos we discussed 1, the fact that you can handle whatever's happening here, and 2, that you must know the rules of every game before you start playing any game. Today we're going to talk about debt more generally. Our goal here is to make you more effective in protecting your rights across the board. This video is brought to you by YourLegalLegUp.com, your advantage if you're being sued by debt collectors. Our main concern today is why people often do such wrong things when they're trying to defend themselves, or they do nothing at all. Some people go for crazy pie-in-the-sky magic stuff, like refusing service and writing "service refused" at a 45-degree angle. What? Don't try that at home, it's just crazy. Or claiming that our legal persons were somehow sold into slavery but can be reclaimed if you just use the right words. What? Stuff like that doesn't make any sense. You know it doesn't. And yet groups like that suck people in all the time. Why? It isn't just because they offer something easy, and certainly not because they're cheap or rational. Most of these schemes offering magical solutions are expensive and so outlandish you wonder how anybody could fall for them. I've watched people swamped with debt for a long time. I'm not saying they all do this, but it is a very common trait. Many people who owe a lot of money turn off their brains to it and don't want to pay attention to the specifics. So they're not watching the fees and charges as they get added. When's the last time you looked carefully at your credit card bill and made sure about each charge? Watchdog groups say that there are bad charges on a large number of card statements. People swamped with debt often spend more money that they don't have. They buy things on impulse because it makes them feel better. And they often go out to dinner or spend money as if they were not in debt. Why? It's easy to get out of the habit of looking at small amounts of money when you have a credit card debt of several $1,000s that you can't pay anyway. When's the last time you set a budget and lived by it? And finally, many people facing debt problems, from bills going unpaid to actual lawsuits being filed, don't pay attention to it or do anything to protect themselves at all. Again, why? I think the answers to all these questions and all the other ones like them are the same. Debt is painful. When you have that pain, you simply want to make it go away, and if you can't really make it go away, you can at least pretend that you can. This thought is your enemy. It leads to a lot of "when this, I'll do that" kind of thoughts. One of the first and most necessary steps you can take towards fixing things is actually to pay attention to them. It's called mindfulness, although it doesn't always look like that. There's an old joke I like to tell about a salesman and a dog. The salesman walks up to a house where the owner is sitting out on a rocking chair, and the salesman's trying to talk to the owner, but every so often the dog raises its head and gives a big, painful yowl. And eventually the salesman says, "Hey, what is wrong with that dog?" And the owner says, "Well, he's sitting on a nail and it hurts." And the sales guy says, "Well, why didn't he get off of it?" And the owner says, "Well, I guess it doesn't hurt him enough yet." Debt is obviously a pain in your side, or sometimes it's worse than that, right? Get off the nail. I won't tell you that stupid frog story about how frogs are supposedly too dumb to get out of water. If you start them in cold water and start heating it, they won't ever get out until it boils. Frogs are way smarter than to stay in water that gets too hot for them. That's a human thing. To keep making up stories as to why they can stand it just a little longer, or that it isn't really that bad, or there's nothing they can do, that's human. When the water gets hot, frogs get out if they can. That's what you should do. Allow your self-preservation instinct to work for you, and then pay attention to what happens. Start doing the things that can make it better. You actually can take care of your debt most of the time, and I don't necessarily mean by paying it. I'm guessing you wouldn't be here if you had enough money just to buy your way out of it. But you can negotiate some of it away. And if you get sued, you can either win that suit or settle on terms that give you a chance in life. If you have credit damage, you can start fixing that. We help people with all of those things all the time. It takes time and attention. It does take some effort, but in reality, it gives you back so much that that's probably a wash even while you're doing it. The real change is psychological. You have to get out of some bad habits. Got to feel that nail and move. I'm going to do something here I usually don't do, which is give you a homework assignment. I want you to choose one of these things and do it between now and when you receive my next email tomorrow. I'm serious. If you have debt collectors bugging you, write at least one letter disputing and demanding that the debt be verified. You'll find a form letter in the link below. If you don't have debt collectors writing you, or if you're past the time you could ask for verification, do one of these two things. Either create an entire budget for a month and start living by it, or create a list of 3 things that you can do right now to reduce your living expenses, and start doing them. You have to start doing them. I want you to get off the tat. Once you start moving, it's just a question of what to do, and we can give you lots of help with that. Don't worry right now if this will all lead to your ultimate happiness. That's thinking like imaginary frogs. Get hopping. We'll show you what to do. In our next video, we're going to talk about a couple of things to keep in mind when you're contacted by debt collectors. Meanwhile, take some action and notice how good it feels to start doing something that improves your situation, even if it's only just a little bit. YourLegalLegUp.com